Hi, I'm Jeff Jorgensen with the Open Air, and today I've been invited to Monty's studio to talk about, I don't even know what we're going to talk about today.
Airplanes.
Airplanes. We're going to talk about airplanes, the open air. We're going to talk about COVID-19 and kids and goodness only knows. We're going to have a lot of fun, but Monty and I have been doing, we've been friends for a long time. We've been doing a number of projects together. And so he invited me over to his studio, and we're going to talk about airplanes and open air and just kind of really what we're doing is practicing and getting ready for some of the other commercials and shoots and videos and projects that we have going on down the road. But
as you can tell from, we're making progress. We're getting walls up. We're getting green screens up. The tech, we've added a couple of desks and things like that. So, we're getting there.
yeah.
We're not quite to, NBC studio quality yet.
No, but it's amazing what goes into a production studio. So, you've got multiple cameras, you've got, different microphones and audio and visual connections to make everything talk to each other. And then you've got computers and software and then editing and iPads and lights. And
I think the delay is the worst part. I mean, because now I already clicked to change cameras, but it just now changed cameras.
Right.
So it's I still have to anticipate what you're.
Before we went online, or before we went live, we were talking about the audio, right? So if we wear the headphones, right, there's a delay in the audio. So if he asks me a question, I'll be in the middle of answering it when I hear the question on the audio, and then it's like, do I answer it twice?
Yeah, you should try tongue twisters on that, because I tried to do Peter Piper pecked to pickle peppers. Doing that the other day, it's impossible. You can't do it. Seriously, if you can do it right now, I will give you $100. If you put these headphones on and you're able to do it.
I'm all in for $100.
Hold on.
Oh, no. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Gotta wait until it's on the
Oh,
headphones.
now it got some plugs in.
All right, so now let's put the camera on Jeff. So now, you got him on the right ears?
Yeah.
Okay. So now,
that makes a difference too. If you swap the ears around,
it does. So here we go for $100.
That's really awkward to hear yourself talking with like a 5-second delay.
It's hard. It's tough.
It's way harder to think it would be. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
I can't believe you just did that.
How many peppers did Peter Piper pick?
Okay, well, we officially have a genius sitting here because I tried it the other day. Miles and I were both.
Sally sold seashells down by the seashore.
It's not. It's
So
something's
I
going on.
think
Your
being
delay is.
completely crazy helps because I've got all these voices going on in my head now. Because I hear me, I hear Monty, I hear all this stuff going on, and it's all delayed. And I feel like I'm in the middle of a Pink Floyd video right now.
I can't believe that you were able to do that. That just blows my mind. I don't know how you did it. I really don't. That's just wild.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if woodchuck could chuck wood?
I don't know.
A woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck. If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Oh yeah, that's good as much as it could. Yes.
That's actually harder to do with this because that's really
Is it?
good.
Well, I guess I owe you $100.
Ah,
Jeez. Did you take American Express?
It was hard though.
It is.
It's like it really is like a surreal experience to have all these voices going on, because I can hear you talking to me in real time, and I can hear the microphone feeding what you're saying to me with like a 5-second delay to me.
Is it 5 seconds? Because the other day when we were trying it, the delay was much shorter. It was almost.
It was probably about
exact.
3 seconds.
So my guess is that you had somewhat of an advantage somehow.
Probably.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know enough about it to be for sure, and I'm actually going to. I want to do something here. Saying I want to bring down the audio from the cameras. Sorry about that, folks. I forgot to do that. We've got these fancy microphones, and then I forgot to turn the microphones down from that are built into the cameras. And of course, those are typically cheaper microphones compared to the $1,000 ones.
So we got
here.
like 6 mics going on there.
Yeah, what we did. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
That would explain
Now we
all
just
the
have-
voices in my head. Why they're
It
coming
would.
at me different
Yeah,
times.
yeah. That would explain it. So now we should have one stream. We should have one stream. We should have one stream. We should have one stream.
That's a cool lookout. That's a cool lookout.
I don't know why it's doing that. Now, is it still there now? Okay, now we're good. Yes, now we're good. I don't know why I was doing that. So hey, we're still figuring this stuff out. So
Right. It's all
yeah,
progress.
so we you probably can't see it. It's right here. Jeff called it the sun when he walked in, but it's a big 20-inch ring light, and it's one of those, everybody wants these ring lights because it lights everything up so evenly.
They make great frisbees.
And yeah, they make great frisbees. I was talking to my camera over there, but
It's like
yeah,
a $200 breakable frisbee.
yeah,
so
yeah. But it is
it's an
bright,
expensive
but
game, but yeah, it's really bright.
but you do have to, for this kind of stuff, light is what makes a difference. And we're about to get a visitor from the very famous Winnie, and she just she does that.
the cat just
Yeah,
wants
it's Winnie
to-
the cat. She wants to get famous. So, all right. So, what do you want to talk about today? I'm back to you now.
Yeah, so we're just hanging out, really talking about aviation. So Open Air is an organization I started, and it's a lot of moving parts. Things are going really, really well, actually, and
So, assume that nobody'd ever heard of what you're doing before. Where should they start? Should they start with reading your book?
where I would start is our website, theopenairflightclub.com. Open Air is a really interesting story. So it started probably back in 2014, really. I was a flight instructor. I got my flight instructor back in 2009, honestly, but I kind of did it as a hobby, part-time, did flight reviews for people, had a few students, but not real serious about it. I was, we had kids, young kids, and so I was kind of a stay-at-home dad. And back in 2014, we moved from Minnesota back to Iowa. And I was looking to ramp up my flight instruction and do other stuff. And so I had the idea that I was going to write this book. And I sat down and I wrote 20,000 words, 30,000 words.
How long did it take you?
Uh,
Yeah, Winnie. I'm about ready to make Winnie the cat famous on TikTok. I'm thinking about it. She's into wearing outfits and stuff.
I do the TikToks.
So she might be a TikTok star
Are you going to do TikToks?
eventually.
Really?
She might scratch and bite you. She's
No,
not always
that's the one I do.
super friendly.
That's what I get. That's what I'm going to get.
She might.
I'm good with cats.
Yeah.
I don't know my limits.
She likes being scratched under the collar. That's where.
What?
If you do that, If you do that, she likes you.
I scratched her under the collar.
Did
She
you?
bit me.
Yeah, she scratches and
I was
bites.
freaking out.
She's. If you hold her down, she's pretty mean. I mean, she can
Wow.
be mean. She thinks she's tough, and she actually is because she's not declawed. So she is. She has all of her weaponry.
See, I was trying to be nice, but then you had to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
She has all of her weaponry. All right, so we'll go back to you now.
So, what was
So-
it? So yeah. So the story of Open Air. I had this idea. I wanted to write a book, and the reason is, man, I've got a lot of stories. Just having been in the military, I was in the Navy for 6 years. Really, you're gonna shove
Thanks for
your
good
nose in
TV.
my
People like
face.
cats.
She's gonna bite my nose off now.
Might.
I'm terrified of that cat.
I'm gonna open the door and see if she wants to go out. Maybe that's why she.
Huh?
That might be why she really likes you. I don't know what. That's really unusual. She doesn't usually go to people except me and Mackenzie.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's go to. We'll go back to the wide view for a second, and then we'll cut back. So you moved from Minnesota to Iowa, but you had already been writing this book in Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
You'd
So
already
I
been
started back
done
in
right, yeah.
2014. I started to write the book. I started to write the book. I've just had a lot of experiences. Traveled the world with the military. I've been a pilot for, since 1996. So longer than a lot of people watching this have been alive.
Yeah, why didn't you have a pilot's license when we were hanging around? We were terrors in cars. Can you imagine had we had an airplane at that point when we were
Right.
teenagers?
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow, we would have been dropping stuff from the sky and stuff,
Yeah.
like confetti.
Well, it's interesting that you said that because back then, right, I never thought it was affordable, accessible, or achievable, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think I could, honestly. It's like, rich people are pilots or, in fact, I was told by somebody, I said, how do you get to become a pilot? About those years, I think I was, 15, 16 years old. I asked somebody, how do you get to be a pilot? And they said, well, you have to be really rich or really smart. Oh, crap.
well, you're both. No.
I'm not, I got nothing
Yeah.
back then, and,
Yeah.
and so
So you did it the hard way. You worked hard, and
I really did. So, and back then we didn't have the internet. I mean, I'm pre-Google, right? So that's how old I am. And I looked through. I finally found that there was a flight college up at University of Dubuque, and I went to University of Dubuque. I went there for a semester and got my private pilot's license, and then couldn't afford to continue that because it was expensive. So I stepped back, worked, saved up some money, found out that there was an Indian Hills Community College that was less expensive. So I went there to study, and then I found out you could do it at the local airport, which was both faster and cheaper. And so then I went that route. And so I tried a number of different ways to get my pilot's license. So I know which ones work, which ones don't work for different personalities, different sets, how to get into them, what your expectations can be, and how to help people with a lot of different ways.
So the ins and outs really is something that you can help people with that
Right.
run into barriers one place, and then let me ask you this: what pedal do you push on the ground to turn right, and which one do you push to turn left? I mean, just to be clear, I want to make sure I don't do it wrong. Should I get
Monty
into
and I
airplane
have
again?
a mutual acquaintance that I tried to teach, and he wasn't able to figure out left foot, right foot makes the airplane turn on the ground. And so after
Oh, it's left foot, right foot. I
Yeah,
thought it was
left
like
foot
up
turns
foot.
left,
It's
right
not up
foot
foot,
turns-
down
you
foot,
steer with
or
your feet in the airplane, and so
when you're on the ground. Yeah.
in the ground, and left foot makes the airplane turn left, right foot makes it turn right. It's pretty intuitive.
So we never let him live it down. I mean,
Yeah.
ever since.
Well,
he
several
couldn't-
hours of flight instruction
And this guy-
on
he
the
did-
ground, and he could not
And-
get
and-
it. Right?
but- and
Just
this
did
guy-
not have the
Yeah, exactly. And this
the
guy.
foot brain.
Oh, yeah, the biggie. So yeah, so the funny thing is that no matter whether people love or hate this guy, he's very book smart. He's a very smart guy, and it was hilarious because he has a flight simulator and everything. You got to practice and everything, but once he got in the airplane, and I've never.
He's a smooth talker too. So
Yeah.
He comes across as very confident, very intelligent, and
But he is intelligent. I don't.
well,
I
and
don't
he
doubt
is
that.
right, and so he sells the idea that he can do anything, and he has been rather successful in a lot of things that he's done. So
I don't know how we got on the subject of that, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but
I had to
it
take
was
a-
interesting though because when he got in the airplane, the whole left foot, right foot thing. He-
push right to turn right,
and
push left to turn left.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
was-
He had it backwards.
So most people, when they get in the airplane, struggle with that. The first, first lesson for sure. The first few times they fly.
Did I? I thought,
I'm sure
didn't
you
I
did.
get it
The
right
first
away?
time you got in the airplane, I'm sure that the whole left foot. It's just a natural
Well,
because
it
we
was-
don't drive that.
It was for me. It was the amount of how much you have to push to
Sure,
get it.
sure.
But I didn't have it backwards.
Right.
I had it right. I was just like, because then you push with your toes for brakes.
Right.
So it was getting used to the rudder
Yes.
and how much, and then which one you want to push for brakes. So, I mean, it's not rocket science.
But people that drive, right? Because you drive with your hands and you have the gas pedal with your right foot and your brakes with your right foot or left foot if you're double footed on when you drive. I hate people that do that, by the way. and then your clutch if you're manual speed transmission. So you learn these bad habits as a driver that don't translate directly into being an airplane. So if you don't have heavy equipment experience and a lot of things, the first few lessons is usually a challenge for people because you're learning a new skill. And I've always said, as
Sure.
a flight instructor,
I
that
just have to focus a second. Maybe left foot. You know, the thing is that what I found out when I started taking lessons with you, I had some medical issues that put it into question, so we stopped temporarily. But so going back to this camera, flying, it's not, you know, it's not like riding a go-kart, but it's not impossible. And a lot of people think, oh man, there's no way I could ever fly an airplane. But, you know, just a couple weekends ago, you had a 14-year-old girl get in the airplane who was a natural, and she almost landed the plane the first time all by herself.
Yeah.
Right?
True story. Yeah. So the irony was I took 3 girls on an airplane ride. So this is prearranged with their
One
parents.
is my daughter, yeah.
Yeah. So, and 2 of her friends. And so we went out to the airport, and the one girl was like, well, I'm just along for the ride because the other 2 wanted to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, but I give all of them an experience to ride in the pilot's seat, and I ride, you know, in the co-pilot seat as a flight instructor, and give them the experience of being a pilot, and, you know, that's how we do flight training. So when it came to her turn, she's like, well, I'll sit up front because the view's prettier, but I don't want to do anything. I said, well, if you're going to sit up front, you have to at least go through the motions. And she's like, no, I really don't want to do anything. And so we started taxiing. I'm like, all right, you need to turn the airplane or we're going to crash. Or we're going to run into stuff. And she's like, no, you do it. I'm like, no, I really need you to help me out on this one, right? Because you're sitting up front. So she begrudgingly, she's like, fine. Right? So she's turning the airplane and she's like, well, this isn't hard.
So she's turning with the
No, with her feet. Right?
Oh, with
so
her feet.
She's driving. So I'd explain this.
in the air or on the ground?
We're on the ground.
Okay,
So
she's taxiing.
we're parked on the ground, and we just got on. So she's sitting up front. We didn't change seats like mid-air while we were flying.
Okay, so she's in the right seat?
She's in the left seat.
She's in the
pilot
left,
seat,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm in the right seat as flight instructor. And we're on the ground. So we start taxiing. I'm like, okay, I need your help. I need you to turn the airplane. We stay on that yellow line. So there's lines painted on the airport you can follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've explained everything to her, and she knows what she needs to do. Steer with your feet. Right foot turns right, left foot turns left. And she's doing it. She's like, well, this is way easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm like, yeah, you're steering an airplane on the ground. And so we get up, we taxi all the way. I made the radio call. And so we get up to the runway, and then I do a run-up procedure. It's the last check of all the aircraft systems and the engine to make sure everything's running properly. All the instruments are set. We tune the radios. We plan our course, and we talk about any emergency procedures. And then we taxi out of the runway. I said, okay, you're going to do the takeoff. And she looks at me, she's like, get out of here. I'm like, you really want me to get out? This is your first flight. She goes, no. I'm staying in the airplane. But she's like...
So this is a 14-year-old that's not
14.
even driving in a car yet.
Yeah, she's 14.
She's not even driving a car
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So
I don't know if
okay.
she's ever driven a car.
I don't know.
idea.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, so I'm like, okay, you're going to take off in the airplane. And I explained to her what you're going to do. I'm like, okay, here's the throttle. You're going to add full throttle. You're going to use your feet to stay on the center line of the runway. And when you get to a certain airspeed, which is about 65 knots or about
That's 55,
it's
60
actually,
miles an hour?
It's actually 65 mile an hour. So it's about
Okay.
it's about 55 knots plus or minus. About 65 mile an hour, the airplane's going to start to rotate all by itself.
It's actually going to start. So you don't even have to pull back.
It's just so all you have to do is pull back a little bit just to bring that nose up a little bit, and then it's just going to gently. So you just pull the.
Now, if you actually just let it go a little faster, it would actually do it on its own, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you told me once about the story.
Eventually,
Because
if
you told me
don't
this.
do anything but add the throttle
Yeah.
and keep it on the center line, eventually, when the airplane's ready to fly, it'll just take off and fly, right?
Because you told me the story about the guy that had to prop start his plane, a Cessna, and it took off without him, and
Yep.
they just found it out in the field. It had run out of gas,
Yeah,
and
it
just
was
landed.
a Piper Cub, actually.
Piper
but
Cub.
yeah.
But it just landed.
Guy
and-
started and they left it in full throttle. It took off, flew till it ran out of gas, and landed on the field, and they got his plane back in one piece. Right?
That's.
Like,
I mean that's just that's crazy to
Plane
think.
knows
I
how
mean,
to fly, right? Takes a pilot to mess it up.
Are you sure it wasn't Elon Musk in that plane? I mean, I'm thinking that maybe it had autopilot or something. Or maybe
No,
Elon.
she was a pretty timid girl, really.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I explained to her, you're going to add the throttle. We're going to keep it on the center line, and you're going to use your feet to steer it to keep it on the center line, which she had figured out when we were taxiing. And about 65 mile an hour, you're just going to pull back gently. The biggest concern I have with new students is they want to pull back abruptly because they want to take off like a rocket ship, right? And I'm like, okay, that's bad because then you stall the airplane, crash, in and die, and that's really hard on my flight instructor insurance. So I try to avoid that. And so I'm like, you're just going to pull back just a little tiny bit, just gently, and you're going to feel that nose lift up, and then we're just going to take off. And she listened to every word that I said. She followed my directions to the letter. She had a beautiful takeoff, and we're flying out, and and I said, okay, you just want to keep the nose at 80 miles an hour. So and the airspeed indicator in this airplane is in miles an hour. So you just push the nose down. It goes downhill. You'll speed up, right? So if you get above 80, then you pull the nose up a little bit and go uphill, and then you'll slow down, right? If it goes down to 75, then you push the nose up. So you find that sweet spot, and you keep that angle, and they'll fly out at 80 all day long, But
so if she can do it, anybody can really. I mean, what's the age where you recommend kids to start, and how do they start?
You can start flight training at 12 to 14. One of the spiels that I give when I talk to people that maybe have an interest, especially school teachers or parents, is, you can solo a glider, which means fly it by yourself at age 14.
A glider.
A glider.
So it's towed up.
That's an airplane with no engine, right?
It's
So you're
towed
towed
up by
up and
another
you're let
airplane.
go, and it's flying, and you can solo it, fly it by yourself at age 14. So obviously, you don't start there, right? So you need some flight training leading up to that, right? I mean, it's not like my kid's 14, I'm going to take him out to the airport, throw him in the glider and solo. Good luck.
Let him go. Yeah. It's been nice knowing you. This is your bar mitzvah now.
So, with that, from that perspective, 12, 13 years old is a great time to start flight training and start working towards that.
Well, kids are 13, 14-year-old kids are driving farm tractors. They're driving pickups on the farm. They're driving skid loaders. I was driving full-size farm tractors at 12.
Yeah.
So,
I think I was 9 when I started mowing on the riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
And I know that, I was driving tractors at about 11, 12 years old. As soon as I could reach the controls, I was driving tractors.
Yeah. And we had Winnie run through again, but that's normal. It's just kind of how it works here. We're
cat photo bombs me right in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah. Well, this is a pet-friendly studio. I mean, I would let the dog down here, but she doesn't like going up and down the steps by herself. She wants to be carried. So,
but if your dog gets out, then we'll have to sing.
Let
the dogs out.
Who let the dogs out? All right. So you have a flight club. You did the book, and you take kids flying and stuff. And I wanted those 3 to fly, so I paid for that. And I said, I want my daughter to be interested in flying because I want one of my kids to have a pilot's license because I want to go flying. Right? I want to go places. So, but you actually have a flight club down in Lamoni. Is that right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So that was kind of a neat deal. So as a flight instructor, I do a lot of workshops at schools, and I fly to a number of different airports. And I got invited to come to the airport in Lamoni, Iowa. There was 6 people that were interested in learning to fly. So it was worth my time to fly clear down in southern Iowa and to meet with these students. And we all started flying kind of as a group. And so it became the Lamoni Flight Club. And we started giving each other call signs. We had, Crosswind. One of them was 007. That was an interesting story.
What was Miles? Crash and burn?
I don't. Gizmo. I don't remember what Miles' call sign was now.
Oh, okay. I don't think I ever knew it. My son Miles was. Yeah.
He got a job and moved on, and so then
he might come back to it as a hobby.
Sure.
I think later.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to fly commercially, but I think
one of them was Crosswind. So we started giving each other call signs, and with movie references, right? So we'll see if you guys get this. We started talking about whatever happens at Flight Club, we can't talk about Flight Club kind of stuff. And
So are you telling me that you're the Brad Pitt of Flight Club?
Is that I
kinda,
like to think I am.
Is that kind of where you're going with this? So where's Angelina Jolie? I mean, you're half of.
She's at work right now because somebody's got to make me some money.
Yeah, so you're half of Flangelina.
That's awesome. Absolutely. But yeah, the Flight Club, we started having a lot of fun, and so it was the Lamoni Flight Club. The first rule of Flight Club was obviously can't talk about Flight Club.
Of course not.
And then, but I got invited to go to the high school there and start an aviation STEM program. The principal was interested in maybe getting his pilot's license. He had started many years before, never finished, and he was interested in finishing that up. So now he had an active interest. So we ended up, we wrote some grants, and we got a flight simulator in the school, and then we got some drones. And I started doing this aviation workshop after school. And it was all part of this Lamoni Flight Club. And, I had the idea. I'm like, I've been so successful in this little town. It's one of the poorest towns in Iowa. It's a population of about 1,000 people. And I'm very successful as a flight instructor and workshops and all this stuff going on there. And, what if I could duplicate that? And so I started going to other schools, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to have something like that. Aviation isn't really taught in the public school system.
Or STEM.
Science, technology, engineering, and math is a new derivative that leads to real jobs. Now, with COVID-19, the aviation industry has taken a step back, but the jobs are still there because airline pilots' mandatory retirement age is 65. So the baby boomers are all retiring out, regardless of what the airlines are doing right now.
Now, does that count for commercial instructors also? Does that mean that you will be forced to retire?
No, that's for the airline, right? So those airline jobs are going to be available. So in the civilian sector, then you're going to have a lot of corporate pilots that are over the age of 65 that are flying corporates around because they don't have that age restriction that the airlines have. The airlines pay really well, and so those airline jobs are going to be available.
But I've heard that those corporate jobs pay very well too. I mean, if you're flying private jets and things like that,
once you got that kind of experience, they all pay well, and
so you can make a good, honest living as a pilot. I mean, a very good living.
Well, and not just a pilot, but all aviation trades, right? So I'm a flight instructor, so I specialize in pilots, but I've got friends now in the industry that are like, Leah Volp has the flight attendants prep academy.
Is that in Iowa?
No, she's out of Arizona, but I work with her, and we can do remote stuff, and she's part of the.
We should FaceTime her in or Zoom in on her sometime.
I'd love to.
And have her on this.
And I've got a flight instructor and a software engineer that I work with out that does the Gold Seal flight training ground school that I use. He's out of Georgia, and some other friends. I got a DC-3 pilot that's also a retired airline pilot that I work with, and he's a flight instructor, and he's flown corporate. Not much he can't fly, honestly, that I work with in the open air. Major General Carl Snyder endorsed my book. He wrote.
Tell me about him. Yeah, tell me about him. I know a lot about him, but he's an interesting fellow.
He's brilliant, first of all, and but he's recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross. He's a flying ace, and
so he was flying with Buzz Aldrin and all those guys back in the day. Yeah, he flew
the 22nd battle group fighter group out of Bitburg, Germany, and so he's got a really amazing career. He was one of the people that helped encourage Buzz Aldrin to get into NASA.
General Schneider is the one, he wrote the foreword to your book, right?
Right, yeah. So General Schneider wrote the foreword to my book, and he's actually written a couple books himself. He's written
a Jet Pioneer.
And then a Little House on the High Plains. I can never remember.
Now that sounds interesting because that must be about maybe how he was raised or something.
It really talks about his life. Yeah, it's his life story.
So not just the flying stuff. Yeah.
Right, and it's pretty incredible. Just his life story. But
how did you talk him into writing the foreword for you?
That's an interesting story. So my publisher is friends with him, and so I got to know him through my publisher, and he was so inspired by my story of having to do everything the hard way and coming up and being successful, and then writing and publishing a book to share my experiences. He just wanted to really be encouraging. He's like, he's had a fantastic career, and he just wanted to be encouraging and helpful. And so he wrote the foreword to my book, and he's been a great mentor, and it's been fantastic. He's just a really neat guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's it's good to know a distinguished Flying Cross recipient. So that's got its own perks all by itself. He commands respect when he walks in a room. Plus, he's a retired general, right? So,
yeah. You
know,
don't just say,
being
"Hey, Carl."
retired
You don't say,
military
just, "Hey,
myself,
Carl."
yeah.
It's like, "Hey, hi, General."
I can call him up and say, "Hey, Carl, how you doing?" But being retired military, it took a long time to get past that chain of command, relationship. It's kind of fun.
All right, hold on. All right, so we've talked about General Snyder and blah 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 blah. What else do we want to say?
Yeah, so blah blah blah. That's good. We'll start with that.
Yes, yeah.
So we're talking about Carl Snyder wrote the foreword to my book, and then so we talked about the open air. So anyway, the Lamoni Flight Club then, and the high school, and all the work that we're doing there, grew into. I had the idea of expanding that, making that bigger, and so we developed the Open Air Flight Club. And with the Open Air Flight Club, we incorporated my book, the Lamoni Flight Club concepts and things we were doing with the schools and the airports, working there. And we put it all together and we built the Open Air Flight Club. And now I've pulled in people from all over the country. I've worked with museums and, the Major General Carl G. Snyder, my publisher. I've got a retired Navy helicopter pilot that's on my board of directors. I've got 2 PhDs that are on my board of directors, one in education and one with a PhD in organizational leadership and nonprofit foundational work. And then Monty is a professional producer that's been all over the country, and he knows, he's been in a helicopter with Donald Trump, right? So you were Batman, or he was Batman.
Yeah, he was Batman. Yeah, I can't take credit for filming that. That was Liam Bowman that filmed it for me. I handed him a GoPro, but
sure.
But I've been in President Trump's 757 with him before he was president. And,
yeah.
I've been a lot of places. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just met all these high level professionals, and it's all coming together in the open air. So the number one thing that everybody's talking about is how to learn to fly, right? So they talk about the 4 forces of flight and everything else. But nobody talks about how to get to that point, right? How do you get to the point where you start learning to fly? That's great. You got to know the 4 forces of flight, but where's the airport? Where do you learn to fly at, right? What type of aircraft do you learn to fly in? How do you find a flight instructor? Where do you find the information in the books, and where do you get started?
Yeah. So basically, what you need to do is you need people to contact you, to reach out to you. You are the gateway.
OpenAirFlightClub.com, right? So that is the initial how to get started in aviation.
Can they email you, call you? You're on social media. I know you're on social media because I push for you on social media.
Through the Contact Us page or through social media. Get a hold of me, and I will help walk you through how to get started in aviation, how to get funding for it. One of my students got a third of her flight training paid for with a scholarship.
There are scholarships available. Miles got one as well. So the scholarships are out there. So don't let the lack of money,
right,
stop you from flying. That's you. Don't let the lack of money stop you from flying, because it can be done. It can.
Absolutely can. All right. So any obstacle. So there's always a solution. Any obstacle can be overcome, and that's what we're all about in the open air. Is making aviation accessible, affordable, and achievable, and inclusion through democracy, right? So we want everybody to be connected and included, all aviation trades, so not just pilot, but mechanics, flight attendants, and any other aviation trades.
Yep. So plug your social media sources. I know I've given you a really hard time about TikTok.
Air for Everyone on Instagram. And
so what is it again?
Air for Everyone.
Air for Everyone.
Open Air Flight Club on TikTok. Let's see. I'm on Twitter is Open Air for Everyone. Facebook is Open Air, which is also Air for Everyone, actually. So the page is Open Air.
Or they can reach you personally there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, right now I'm managing all my social media, so you're going to get. I do have some admins that kind of work for me, but
Yep.
Usually that's for, I think you're an admin for video stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I do. So some of my admins may, but they'll refer to me, right? So they'll be like, "Hey, I've got an aviation question. I got a thing."
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do, because let me switch over to this other camera that's got both of us in. Here's the deal I'm gonna make, because I'm the third most followed TikToker in the state of Iowa. I don't know about around the country, but I got a lot of followers. I've got a lot of
There's
people
only
watching my
5
stuff.
people on TikTok in Iowa.
Yeah,
So
right. So here's the deal I'm willing to make. The first 5 people that from this broadcast reach out to Jeff and ask him about flight lessons, I'm gonna shout you out on TikTok. I'm gonna follow you, and I'm gonna check out your stuff and like it if it's any good, and
I'll do the same.
And Jeff will do the same. So that's the deal. You might get TikTok famous if you reach out to Jeff and ask him about flight lessons.
And that's on Open Air Flight Club. So
Open Air Flight Club. Yep, absolutely. So that's all I have.
cool. Hey,
That'll
thanks for
be
your
a
time.
five-
Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.